All right, so we're back in the shop. This has had overnight to dry. Normally I let any type of a sealer or top coat before I work with the for another step. I usually let it dry overnight. So in this case here, it's had about eight hours to dry. This is the birch one. This is one where I actually, on the front side, I actually had noticed that I thought I had some bubbles in the finish from air entrapment, but actually feeling this, it just kind of feels like a regular seal coat. So I might have actually been a little bit overreactive on what this looked like and turned it on oak, but on the oak, the door looks just as nice. So I've got two different abrasives here that I'm going to try. Both are used in the shop right now. This is the one I've used for quite some time. This is the Indasa Rhino Soft. It's a P320. And then I recently started using some of the Festool Granat. This is also a P320. A friend of mine who's a painting contractor had highly recommended to try this, and what I found out is that this stuff works extremely well for the primer surfacer I use in the shop, and that this works extremely well for the fast dry vinyl seal I'm currently using. And neither one of these really work all that great for a self-seal with the high build precat that I'm currently using. So, and then I'm going to use a maroon sponge for the delicate profiles. So I'm going to start out with the Festool Granat, and the reason I'm doing that is this is actually a little bit cheaper than the Rhino Soft. Lo and behold, Festool is actually cheaper for something. So I'm going to just start up with the back here. Seems to chalk up. Doesn't overly chalk, which is probably not a bad thing, considering it's not really a sealer, it's just a self-seal product. It's knocking all the nubs off from the seal coat. That's a good sign. This veneer on both of these doors, this door style actually calls for about a 3/16 panel. And I didn't have any 3/16 two-sided, so if you saw on the oak it looked like maple, it actually was. But so the veneer on the back side is not really an adequate test. But I just wanted to build something. This is what I had set up in the shaper at the time being. So I just ran a couple doors with this profile. Okay, so I mean, it powders out nice. I mean, that's a good thing. You know, the Granat seems to work. I'm going to try the Rhino Soft on the front, see if there's a difference. But it seems to powder out nice. And temperatures aren't perfectly ideal in the shop here. We're about 62 degrees right now, so it's not really the best ideal, but this is typically what it is here in the winter time in the shop. And if I had a lot of finishing, it'd actually turn up the heat quite a bit more, but this has actually turned out really well. So I'm going to try the Rhino Soft in the front. One thing I can tell with the Rhino Soft is that there's actually more of a drag. So it doesn't seem to slide over the surface as much. Actually, I think the Festool Granat worked a little bit better. Actually, the Festool Granat worked a lot better. Oh yeah, less drag. You know, if I ended up using a system like this here, I'd still probably use a sealer. Just for the reason being that sealers offer additional properties that a self-seal doesn't, and one thing is the how it powders out. Sealers typically, when they're green, they chalk up better than a green top coat. And I'm just kind of old school. You know, the self seal really kind of came out for basically to limit the amount of inventory one would have to have for a finishing setup. You can have one product that, you know, does the sealer and top coat. That's kind of ideal for a lot of situations, but there's some other things. There's advantages and disadvantages to both, and I'm not really going to get into that on this video. But like I said, if I were to use a system like this here, I think I would definitely look at an actual sealer. All right, I'm just going to use this. This is a maroon synthetic pad. I believe this is probably a Merca. Works really well here. Okay, so this one is sanded up pretty effortlessly. You know, you can see definitely it did powder out, so I do like that for the most part. All right, we're gonna do the sanding with the oak.